Yep. Either side, whatever.
Get in there. Okay. Had to go past all the money, right?
Yeah, right. Those 2 dimes are just a killer. I don't know what time it is.
I don't know.
You bet. Thank you.
Now you're hooked up to the speaker.
I'm
Now
mic'd.
they can hear me unless I can hook up to the. Do they know that?
What?
That I'm gonna be
When you
singing?
sing. Oh, hey Tracy. Sue is going to sing in the beginning while I get people to get into their heart. Will that work? Okay. Okay. Then you'll swing the. Gotcha. Gotcha. Thanks for all you do, Jim. Boy, you're all over the place.
I
respect that.
all that you do, and I very much respect letting the women drum with the men.
Thank you. Oh, hey, and the children.
It's just another knife twist.
Hey, it's time. Come on, you know.
Past time.
Yeah, right. You're right. Ah. Sir.
So I'm Grant. We never got.
I know.
to
No,
talk
we
too
didn't
much.
get to. How are you?
I'm always seeing you, and
Yeah, and I see you too.
I'm a medicine wheel, and I was really glad to see more of your power and energy.
Ah, okay.
I know we're just
Such as it is.
tuning in with each
For an
other.
old guy, I try.
Yeah, you're great. I saw you last night. I was like, oh shit, Jim's a big. I saw your big.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you I was like books a mess. I haven't put all the stuff back.
Oh yeah, you won't be here. Bummer.
I know. I'm sorry.
And I wanted to hear you.
And
Oh well.
There's people that
It'll
signed
all
up
work.
for my workshop. Yeah,
It always works.
it always does.
Mhm.
It does. Awesome sauce. All right, I'll see you. And then your workshop's right after, correct?
Is it? Did it get changed?
Oh, it did.
Okay.
Good thing they
It got
told you,
changed
I
right?
know. I'm getting so many
Remember-
signals. It's not sticking.
Well,
People say,
okay.
"Oh, it got changed this way. Oh, it got changed
Yeah.
this way." So then I'm just not.
So it's the same change that was yesterday. So where you were speaking, Grandmother Crow is, and then she took the later workshop.
My workshop is
Because it's one right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Your workshop's right after me.
Okay.
I don't know when mine is. I have to go look again.
So,
Yours at 4.
so
Mine's at
advertise
4? Okay, thank you.
advertise your workshop. And then if you let people know now that like I'm doing a workshop and there's somebody else who has been too, yeah.
We're in the main hall right now.
Huh? Well, no. When people come in, if you'll just, I don't know.
We're not going to send them to you guys. I'm
Oh,
talking.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm kidding.
No, it's fine.
I'm kidding.
Okay, cool. Have fun.
So is there? Do you want me to read the whole thing?
Oh God, no.
I didn't think so. So what would you
Say
say?
whatever you want to say. Been walking the spiritual road for years.
I love this gypsy thing. I saw that and I was
It's
like,
my
oh.
grandma. She was the medicine woman over in Italy. Yeah, I didn't know until the day she died.
Really? That she was gypsy?
Uh-huh. Called me over. Sit down, Jimmy boy. Oh God. And we talked for 2 hours, and she said, "I wish I had time to tell you more because it's your turn next, but tonight I'm leaving." And at 3 a.m, she died. Quietly in her
Is
sleep.
she still working with you?
Oh God, yeah.
I was gonna say, I bet
Oh,
she's
yeah.
right here.
I couldn't get rid of her if I wanted to. I don't want to, but yeah, big
Bless
time.
your type gypsy grandmother.
Yep.
Loving her. I feel her. I'm like,
Good.
yes.
She's been coming in more and more. I've.
She's helping me right now.
Okay, cool.
You gotta, I really feel it. I'm loving this energy. I'm
Okay,
glad we're
cool,
finally.
cool.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So, I like the sanctuaries of the Earth Mother. People, I think, are you going to talk about that, or people ought to know that you do that?
I will.
could say that.
Yeah, go ahead. That's good.
Okay.
Because that's what this is all about. That's why the kids are on the drum. This is all about the ones who are coming, not
I love
us.
it. I love it. I'm glad that.
I'm an old shit. I'll head out in 20 years. These kids they are what is.
Okay. So I think it's like 1. But
Okay.
Do you want to start?
I don't know. Do we start? Do we wait? See, after lunch is always tough.
It is.
Because people just wander up.
Well, I'm going to make some noise on the microphone to say that might bring some people.
The drum.
It's time for Jim Great Old Petrus. Oh my goodness, it's so exciting. We got Jim right here with us. He is a gypsy at heart, in the blood. He's been wandering around the world helping everybody. Everybody, come on in and let's
Maybe
hear.
just to
Jim.
let them know lunch is over.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, see, here they come. I told you, just hang on to the nose. They will come.
You know what's up.
I know. I made dinner. This ain't mine for sure.
I know. I'm glad you're here. We get some more.
That's right.
Would you do that one more time? That really helped me. Oh,
Yes. And then I just think of my magic Mike man.
your magic mic man?
Yeah.
Oh.
My exes. My chatas. I'll be up in a second.
Okay.
Camera, and I'll be wiggling and jiggling.
Oh, yeah, gotta give you. Serves many functions. Yeah, I think they go. Circle, four colors.
morning. His workshop o'clock at Lady Washington, for all those who didn't get to go because of the meditation last night. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Jim Truzzi. Jim and I never have gotten to visit too much, but last night we got to do a meditation, and I got to really see and feel his power. A teacher, very graceful and wise, and strong. I just found out too that he's got the gypsy in the blood, which I got really excited about.
Yeah.
He's a real gypsy. I mean, we got a real gypsy in our hands. He's a real treasure for our group. The real blood. And his gypsy spirits travel around many parts of the world, brought a lot of different lineages together. I wanted to also say that Sue, and he started recently in 2010 a nonprofit, Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother, to share the teachings of the ancestors, nature, sustainable technology, and the universe. I was like, man, that's fantastic. That's what I want. That's great.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jim. Come on up here and let's see what you got. Woo.
Okay. So, who is thinking about their lunch they just had? Their lunch you just had. Okay, good. Who's thinking about what we've done so far? Who's thinking about what we're going to do? Okay, good. Now I need your help. I don't want you up here. I want you in here. So I'm asking my beautiful wife to sing one of her songs. And as she does, close your eyes or leave them open. Start asking this to go to the back for a while. Take a seat and get into here. Because I would love you to hear anything I have to say from this spot. Because that's where I'm going to talk from. And some things I think I'll share that I haven't for a long time, some things I never have. So if I get emotional, I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable. So thank you, listen to Sue, and then I'll step back.
There's something about these songs, like it helped me, they also help others to get into that heart space and become who they really are meant to be. So I hope you enjoy. It's just a short one. Be at one with the Spirit as you walk here on this earth. Know that love that surrounds you was there for you at your birth. Every day is a blessing. Sacred journey as you walk. Take the time that is needed to be one with who you are. Mother Earth really needs us to be whole and honor her, for she needs that love around her to be fruitful and give birth. So be loving to yourself, so that love can shine throughout. Be all that you can be will bring that love to all around.
Thank you. Whew. Okay, so just breathe into that heart space. Feel that heart space. Good. Everyone who has spoken so far, I just want to give them thanks because I listen to each one, and each time I hear, I'm going, wow, that's tapping into something I was going to say. And several people have said, oh, things have been repeated. It's true. It's time for that. And as my teachers used to tell me, repetition is affirmation. The more you hear it, the more validity it has. And so if I say some things you've already heard, but in a different way, that's cool. Take it to your heart. See what that means to you. If I say some things you haven't heard, that's okay too. See where it tags in. And let's just go on this journey together. I want to, since you're walking in though, as several have, thank Chief for all he's done. His work is incredible. There is no family without him. It's his energy that called us together. And that's really powerful. And I may mention a little more later, but he spoke, I guess it was yesterday, about the wolf and the whale. And I was over here on the drum and I went, wow. When I first met Chief, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was at Bear Clouds. And Sue and I were part of Bear Clouds Lodge. And he told me that this elder was coming for lodge. I didn't know it was Chief at that point. But when the Chief showed up, he called me to the side because he found out I was wolf. And he spent over an hour telling me that story of the wolf and the whale. And I've shared it with others. That is powerful medicine. But the fact that he talked about it yesterday for me was like, okay, there's another circle that comes around. So whatever your totems are, sit with those. But remember, you've got a lot of totems. You've got a lot of guides. A new friend of mine, forest speaker, who's Maori, forest speaker likes to say, you are all masters. I can't teach you anything. But what I can do is tell you some stories and you'll remember. And I love that. He's also all about the water. And we've heard a lot about water. Water, air, land, all of them we now have to cleanse. And we're doing it with our light. So to get started, how many of you are of the red nations? Okay. How many of you are of the red nations? That's you, Chief. Okay. How many are of the white nations? Okay. Yellow nations? Okay. Black nations? Okay. How many are women? How many are men? How many are light beings who are here now to come together to help this thing move into the next? Oh, okay, hold them up, look around. What's really important? What's really, really important? This is all that's important. It doesn't matter what paint's on you. It doesn't matter what gender's on you. And you've seen some of it here this weekend, as Rod, who's part of our circle, was saying, this is a different gathering than in the past. We've come together, it's a different energy. We're doing things we couldn't have done before. And so when Chief asked us to bring the healing drum, hoop of many colors, and it's been at powwows, it's been at healing events, it's been in Stonehenge, it's been all over the place. We did, but you'll notice we've mixed it up a little. Maybe that challenges some people in here, that's okay. There's women on the drum, there's children on the drum. Why does it have to be all men? Why do the women's, why do the women's things have to be all women? It's time to come together. You know, the prophecy is this time around, if we're going to really create that earth, men and women, harmony, equality, working together. If not, it doesn't happen. So thank you all for accepting that and allowing that energy to flow. It's really important. I use it for myself because there was a time that when I did things, I led them. Yeah, it was my job, so I just led them. Now you'll kind of notice I don't need to do that because it's all about circle. So many times on the drums, I've handed off my stick or I've sat back. I don't have to lead that. When I pour a sweat lodge, as I've been trained, I'll sing some songs and then I'll ask others to sing songs. It's time to really honor the customs and keep them sacred, but also to combine them. Once again, the prophecy, the 4 colors coming together, right? Do you know that? White, black, red, yellow represents the 4 colors of people. As someone said, you mix them, you get brown. I'm of the olive skin nation, so you have to mix different colors to get olive skin. So it's also time to share these ways back again, as we were told it would be. And you know, I remember Black Elk, who's been an incredible spirit teacher of mine. If you read my books, he shows up a lot. But Black Elk's big disappointment at the end of his life, do you know what it was? Anyone? It's because he thought he was a failure, because his prophecies had not completely played out yet. Wow. I'm sure up there now he smiles and looks down and sees his prophecies playing out. We all have to remember, no destinations, people, that's ego. Journey, it's who we walk with, it's family. It's what we're here to do. It's all those things. And that is what's happening now. And so you heard about Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother. That's actually something that came to me in my first vision quest many years ago. I've been walking this road. Well, I've earned the gray hair. But the basis for the Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother came to me then. And then it disappeared for a lot of years. It wasn't time. I guess about 6 years ago, is that right? We were living in Sedona, and suddenly I sat down and I'm, okay, I can start my first book now. I tried for years, and every time I did, I would get physically ill. I'd throw up, I'd have headaches, I couldn't write it. But suddenly I sat down, and I think in 3 months I wrote it, because I didn't write it. I was hollow bone. How many of you are healers? Right? And do you realize when we're healing, we're hollow bones? It ain't us. It's spirit. The more hollow bone we can be, the more effective we can be. And when we don't take credit, we're even more effective. So my first book flowed through. I didn't even know what I wrote until I was done. Seriously. And then sitting with Bear Cloud, I'm like, wow, would you do the cover for me? So he's done both covers for my books. It's always about circle, not us, especially now. The old way, the triangle, it's not going to work. One, and then everybody below them, forget it. Small groups and everyone below them, no. Circles. We've got to learn, relearn how to live in circle. It's not always easy. It's really not. When I started out, I guess I stepped up seriously on the spiritual road 35 years ago, plus or minus. I try not to count. It's painful. No, not really. I don't care. Things even then were much different. I think I'll talk about that a little bit. I wanted teachers in the worst way. I really wanted some teachers. I had recently moved to Colorado. I was running an environmental center for the University of Colorado, and I was doing everything I could to find some teachers. Man, I wanted to learn some of these ways. I couldn't find anybody. So I said, you know, the heck with it. I'll do what I'm doing. I'll run this thing. And of course, the next week, some Native American folks who were representing Native American students came in and asked, will you do something for our students? Because they come to go to university, they last a semester or two, they go home. They just can't take being in the midst of a white society without their cultures, off the res, on and on and on. And of course, I said, yeah, what do you want to do? Anyway, we started a whole bunch of programs. It was out of there that then teachers came to me and said, you seem to want to know more. Can I invite you to? And I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm ready. But I didn't know if I was, because I kept thinking, I'm not worthy. I was in my late 30s, I guess, by then. What's the late 30s white guy from back east who was born Catholic doing here, learning from the people? And they just shake their head and said, why are you worried about the paint that's on the outside? Why are you worried about any of that? Just come. And I had the fingers pointed. You know, I was a wannabe. I was this, that, and the other thing. And not just with my native friends, as I learned, but I ended up going to Central America, and some Mayan teachers found me, and Garifuna teachers found me. And I was kind of the odd guy out. That shifted quite a bit. We need to shift it even more. Anyone who wants to learn in a good way, anyone who's serious about it, needs to be able to have those teachers appear. My own grandmother is Gypsy. I didn't know it until the night of her death. We were at a wedding for a cousin of mine. She called me over and she said, okay, I'll share this. Jimmy boy. No, I went up to 35. I was still Jimmy boy to some of them. She said, sit down because we need to talk. And I said, okay, Grandma. Now I was like 21. Oh God, the old lady's gonna drive me nuts. So I smiled and sat down, and she told me, you know, before we came here, our people were gypsies, northern Italy, but we also went into Switzerland, and you know, we don't look at borders. And I was the medicine woman for 3 of the clans. I'm the one they called, especially when they needed deep healing. And so I worked amongst those 3 clans. Our people were killed, persecuted, like so many other nations. We've all been through that in our history. And so some of us came here. And once I came here, I never practiced my medicine again. She wouldn't tell me why. That was for her to hold. But she said, and it skipped a generation, you're going to be the next one to carry this. And again, I admit, I'm thinking, this is one crazy old woman. I love my grandmother, but she's losing it. And she said, I wish I had time to tell you more, but you will move where you need to. The people who need to teach you will show up because I can't do any more. I'm leaving tonight. I'm done. 3 o'clock in the morning that night, she died in her sleep with a big smile. And so 15 years later, yeah, until then those teachers started finding me. So it's all about timing also. It's being ready, it's being open. It's not knowing exactly what's going to happen. Right now, everything is moving like at rocket speed. Chief mentioned that when he talked and also when we were saying something. Things are moving so fast. Just let them come. Be in the light. We need to be together in the light. We will still get more attacks. Is anyone getting any strong attacks lately? People who are really stepping up? Yep, some of us. It's like the last effort of the dark, right? Don't allow it. Even if it hurts, and sometimes it's painful. For me, it's been some people very close to me, and I'm like, where in the hell did that come from? But just learning to walk away from it. Send them love and light, but walk away. Walk with the ones who are ready. And, you know, they'll all show up, some of the young ones now who are here. It's awesome. I'm so thrilled to have them drum with us because they're going to carry it. You know, we're older. We're going to step out. Some worked with before, like Nicole here. Suddenly she's back, and I'm seeing, oh boy, we got to do more together. It's the circle just working. The circle is everything. We're in circle. The drum is a circle. Communities used to be circles. The universe is circles. The planet is a circle. That is the way of the universe. If you can't work in circle, then you really need to look inside and see why. Because if you're going to move ahead with this, if you're serious about stepping up into your total energy, you're going to have to work in circles. And I'm loving this here this weekend. I really am. And the last time we drummed, we didn't have enough sticks. People showed up I didn't expect. That's cool. I just handed my stick. And it was just perfect because all I needed to do was connect to the energy and to Creator. It was wonderful. I loved it. It felt right. It didn't feel like I was giving anything up. I was getting something back. And so allow that energy to move into. New people who are starting out, if you want teachers, if you want guides, if you want to find your circle, stop looking. Open your heart. Open that heart. They will show up. I guarantee it. I've never seen it not work. It always works. It might not be tomorrow. Don't worry about time. You know, there is no time, right? You guys all aware of that? It's an illusion. Listen to the young, right? Time is an illusion. Past, present, and future, they're all one, and they're all here at the same time. We humans, especially because we work from here, we say past, present, and future like they're separate. We do ourselves a great disservice. We miss so many things. People who journey, people who have practiced shamanic healing, and I can talk about that a little bit. People who have done those things realize that they're all the same. So when they say they're going back to the past or moving ahead to the future, you don't have to go anywhere. It's right here. What you're doing is letting it come into you, and you can use whatever you need. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Yeah, so I'm going to do some workshops. There's one this afternoon. I think it's at 4. Sue will be doing them with me. And there's one tomorrow. I'm going to share a little more of my shamanic practices and the things I've learned. This is something I've avoided for 20 years. When I was taught a lot of this, I tried to say, no, I don't want it. And my primary teacher, John Two Bears, who was Lakota, said, you will learn because you will need it. And I've used it a few times. Those of you who know me, the first time I used it, my previous wife died of cancer about 9 years ago. And so I was her caregiver while she was taking that final walk, which was a great honor, but also It's not an easy thing. So I had an elder on the West Coast who was Wayat, who asked me to work with this woman who was desperately in need of some spiritual help. I realized looking back, he did it for me as much as he did it for her. And so I sat with her, and here was a woman who had, about 4 months before that, she lost all 3 of her children in a horrific accident, a bus going to a ceremony. And then about 3 weeks after that, her husband left her. He couldn't take it. So she just wanted to go. She wanted to leave, but something was keeping her here. So working with her is the first time I actually used some of the shamanic practices I'd been taught. Nothing else would help. I mean, she was so out there. Now she lives up by the reservations in South Dakota. She works with 4 other grandmothers. They help people who are going through similar experiences. This is 12 years ago now, I guess, was the last time I physically sat with her. We connect periodically. So it's for things like that where I'll use it. However, now, shamanic medicine, which really, I mean, forget all the bouldery boo that you hear, you know, oh, I'm a shaman, oh, it's been so misused. It's knowing above and below, the universe, the mother. It's working with nature. All shamanic medicine is grounded in nature, all of it. And every culture I've worked with on this and has taught me, immediately we go to nature first. So those things are critical. And then it's knowing how to use it and welcome it in. That's what it is. So there's some ways you can do that. I'll share some in the workshops later. It's not something to be played with. It's something to use seriously, like all medicine, like everything we do. And so I was just thinking of that as we're talking, and I'm thinking of that woman again, whose name was Susan. I don't know, Sue seemed to stalk me. I don't get it. At least this one's a positive one. They've all been positive ones. Some have just been difficult. So medicine of that sort, yes. If you're going to learn things like that, to do it, you have to let go of everything. Forget about your ego. When I was taught, it's like, okay, Jim, everything you've learned, put it aside. Pretend like you know nothing, which wasn't that hard for me at that point, and come in as a blank slate. If you're in ego, you won't be able to do it. And some people I've started to work with have left. That's fine. You know, you got to be ready for that. You got to say, okay, I'm clear, no ego, let it come in. Later, all the things you know will come in and join it. So it becomes a huge package you can use. But to learn things, truly learn nature, just takes an incredible amount of connection with nature. And boy, what a powerful teacher. What a powerful teacher. That and understanding you connect with the universe, creator, God, whatever, you know, I don't care what labels are, and with the earth mother. Those are the big things. So as we go along, this medicine becomes more and more important because when I was taught, I thought it would be to work with people like Susan, who they just wanted to leave. They wanted out of here. Too much pain, too much sorrow, too much suffering. Now I realize as we're making this shift, the real healing, the real need of this is the circles. A lot of ancestral energy, a lot of ancestral pain, a lot of ancestral thoughts are coming through now. Some of you are nodding, I know you're feeling it, some of you are working with it. That's what this medicine is to work with now. In so doing, you also work on yourself. I mean, you all know that, right? When you work on the greater whole, when you work on the circle, you work on yourself. When we go into lodge or other ceremonies, do we ask for anything for ourselves? No, that's not the way. We ask for the healing of the sacred hoop, for the healing of the whole circle, everything, but we don't ask for ourselves. However, we get the healing. We're part of the circle, as long as we are. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of this, but it's really important to remember it. And I'm hearing this in bits and pieces from everybody who's spoken so far. I'm hearing also those who are saying, okay, it's time to step up. Things are coming now. Rod's back there smiling. He's like, he sees the tsunami that's welling up below us. Some of you do too. We need to let it come up. We need the fire. We need the phoenix. Things have to be burned to ash so we can start to rebuild. We need to let it surface. We're seeing it all around us. It's nothing to fear. It's time. Some of us who are older were here in the 60s. And I've heard a lot of people who were around in the 60s say, oh, wow, man, we failed. What happened? We started, and man, it just all fell apart. No, timing wasn't right. What started in the 60s in this walk, this lifetime, is about to finish now. The difference is, a lot of us have gone through a lot of things since then. We're here. This time when the young ones step up, we're here to back them up. We didn't have that in the 60s. We were the freaks. We were the nut jobs. We were the look at those long hair, blankety blank, 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 fill in the blanks. You all know what they were. This time there's a lot of us who will stand up. There's also a lot of hate surfacing now. That is awesome. The infection has to come to the surface so it can be healed. And that's in each one of you individually too. If things are coming up in you, let it come. It needs to. It's how you will heal it. You can't heal it until you release it. I know, I'm getting mine. My sinuses are like a war zone. I'm not even sleeping because I'm such a sinusy mess. And others are getting other challenges. But it's also happening to society as a whole. Those things have got to surface. Please do not get angry. Someone was saying yesterday, one of the grandmothers, I don't remember who, when we address these things, we cannot do it in anger. We cannot throw hate back at hate. As soon as we do, boy, that circle keeps spinning. Keep going forward in love. I got a new teacher in the last few months, Dr. Dream sitting here. He's a pro at this. He keeps going forward. He sends out his light. He sends out his love. He's doing amazing things with the work he does. He doesn't worry about, okay, I'm not going to hate anybody. I'm not going to get angry. Maybe he does a little bit, he's human, but he keeps moving forward. And I'm watching that and I'm going, he's right. He's really right. And it's easy to look at some of this, to hear some of those words. Wow, in the 60s, I threw bricks. Now I throw love. Which do you think's working? The bricks didn't work, right? Bricks didn't work. The only really effective agenda in the 60s was the African American movement. And why? Because they did peaceful. They stayed peaceful. The rest of them, and some in the women's movement as well. But too many of the others moved into that anger. I know, I was there. I was part of it. Those, God damn them, we'll get them. No, doesn't work. Just keeps it going. We don't want to do that anymore. This time in the prophecies, we are told this is the big choice. So each one of you is honored to be here, or should be. Everyone who's here now should be honored. And I don't like the should word. It's one of the horrible S words. But in this case, it works. The way I was told, so many people have lived here throughout time. So many people will live here in the future if we do this in a good way. The number who are here right now of that whole is infinitesimal. Everyone wanted to be here for this shift, for this earth that we will create in the light. So we are all blessed to be here. Even those who are carrying that hate, that horrible ancestral stuff that has to be brought up and purged, they're doing their work. Thank them. I mean, really, thank them. I listen to some of this and I just shake my head and I'm going, wow, how could they say that and how could other people believe it? And then I say, but thank you, because it needs to be done. It truly, truly needs to be done. And that's important work. That's not easy work to carry. To be hated by so many, it's not easy. But it is part of this process. And so as we go along here, take what we do here home. This is powerful this time. And I know there's a lot of people who are on the feed this time, and I say hello to those folks. Some of them are friends of mine. So Virginia up in Canada, and Brock up in Canada, and Charlie over in New England, and we have friends in California. They're tying into this. There's actually, I think, a lot more people tying in this time than actually came. And I put in a lot of work to get people to come because I know this is so important right now. But I started to realize all we can do is put it out there. Some who I thought would be here suddenly had 12 excuses for not being here. It's okay. They didn't need to be here right now. You all needed to be here. You may not even know why. That's okay. You will find out why as you go along. So, how's my time going? Help me out here, Tracy. I know, I'm a big mouth. Oh, okay, good. Because at the end of this, so I'll talk a few more minutes, but then I'd like to do is, let's see. Uh-oh, we don't have too many kids here this time. That's all right, we'll do it later. I wanted to have a kid's drum at the end. We're gonna do that later though. Some of the children have been drumming, thank you. But we'd like to have a drum with just the kids at some point. That's what this is for. Hello? The 7 generations. Some of us are going to be checking out. Not too soon, I still have work to do. But we'll be checking out sooner rather than later. But the little ones, they got to carry it. Some of you in between, it's critical for you to pass it down. So this thing just continues to build. And so every time I see the young ones at anything we do, I just get this huge smile. I try to get them involved. Sue's great at just, bringing the kids in. We'll be in an event and suddenly I step away because there's 12 kids around the drum. It's perfect. I don't have to be there. The other old ones don't have to be there. Then we step in and do our part when it's needed. Does anyone have questions? Anyone want me to? Debbie? Uh-oh. No, I'm kidding you. Go ahead. I'm just playing with you. I am part Hyoka, as Debbie knows.
I find it interesting that how we're talking about the feminine and masculine
Cup right there.
combined, and that also now considering bringing the women towards you. I find
Yes.
that very interesting. Yeah, it's just like, okay, so we now knew what was coming. We've known what was coming and what's here.
Yep.
But does that knowledge just seem to really go to the people that really need it? And I understand that maybe Catholics or, any religion or organized religion
Yep.
have their beliefs, but it's on the same line as the rest of what we're thinking and learning here. We need to do it together. There is no separation. Or should not be. There is not.
There can't be if we're going to do this in the way that the prophecies have talked. And I mean, that's all of them. I heard this when my Lakota teachers taught me. I heard it from my Mayan family who adopted me down there. I've heard it from the Garifuna from Africa. I've heard it from the Aborigines. It's all the same. We've got to come together. And yes, I think there's some in each of those organizations. Now, I left Catholicism, in my teens, because I saw some things that I couldn't walk there. And that's all, it's all fear-based and ego and greed, right? I think it's shifting. I mean, even look, yep, right.
It seems like he's really bringing in some energy that is
Yep.
helpful.
And I'm sure some of his people are saying, what the hell have we done? How did we bring this guy in? Right? And that's any of us who are making some of these changes. And, I kid around, but yes, I have Hyoka medicine. Sue will tell you big time. And I was laughing when he was talking earlier today, he's part Hyoka. Because I do that. I'm driving along, people are going the other way, and I'm waving, and Sue going, what the hell are you doing? Or I'll start going, hiya, 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 hiya. It's just keep a little bit of energy going. It's stupid. That's okay. We can be stupid. It's fine, right? Stupid is good. So yes, I think in each organization, and I watch this Pope too, and believe me, as far as doctrine go, I still don't agree with Catholics much at all. Go, okay, he sees something, he's getting it. I watch politics, which really has already collapsed. They just haven't admitted it yet. I forget who talked about that. Was that you, Chief? Somebody talked about the way things are collapsing. That's good. Let them collapse. I'm not going to get all fired up. They want us to argue back and forth. They want us to hate Trump or hate Hillary. Hello, Bernie, where'd you go, buddy? You know, he could do some change. I worked hard for Obama. I really worked hard because I expected huge change. And he's done some beautiful things. And I recognize that, but he's also part of the establishment. Therefore, there's a lot he can't do. Neither could Hillary. And I don't dislike Hillary. I don't agree with her a lot, but that's okay. We need to get outside of all those systems in everything. Politics, education, spirituality. We're no different, folks, just because we're spiritual. Isn't it nice to say, I'm spiritual? Well, if you don't walk your walk, what good does it do you? It's critical we walk our walk. It's critical that I look and I don't see a woman, I see someone in my family, and the families are forming. I know she's a woman. I'm not saying I'm dumb or blind, but I have to stop judging, stop labeling. You know, I hate the labels too. I know we need them a little bit so we understand what we're doing. My label is human being. That's all I do. Somebody wants to know what I do, I say, well, here's what, you know, my peers have said. You can accept that or not. Some of them are good and some of them are painful, but that's okay. So yeah, that's a good one. Thank you. That's an excellent point. Anything else we need to put into this circle? I'm letting the energy grow here because you guys are awesome. Yeah. Smart Alec. Okay, so, and again, the wolf has been coming up a lot, as has the eagle. The wolf is really important right now because the wolf does pull together communities. So I was first given the name Red Wolf by my Lakota family when I went up and did my first vision quest. Then they named me Red Wolf. That was my gift when I was adopted by John Two Bears. And I'm going, huh? Red Wolf? My hair was pitch black. There's nothing red about me at all. I realize now Wolf has walked with me not only this whole life, but many, many lives. And then sometime down the road, I was changed to Gray Wolf because I got over my own pains, my own dark time of the soul. The Red Wolf is the most endangered of all the wolves. And they told me, you're not endangered. The other stuff. And if you walk with wolf energy, that's what you're doing. How many wolves in here? Look at that. Oh! Oh! Come on. All you non-wolves, let's hear it. Oh! Good. You are all official wolves in the heart. You will run with us now. And when I met Sue after my previous wife had passed away, Sue was a wolf. Right? No coincidences. She worked in the pens with a den of wolves for 12 years, 10 years, whatever. Time doesn't matter. A lot of years. And so we came together as wolves. Because my job, I was always told, is to do what I'm doing, to help bring together the four colors. I would get to people that some of my teachers never would. Down in the jungles of Belize, my primary Mayan teacher, he was never going to talk to you all. He gifted me what he wanted to bring it. And I've tried my best to honor that. Sometimes I've done pretty well, other times I've screwed up. It's okay, we're human. Let it go, correct it, change it, move on. Good one. Are we done? Cool beans. Again, I just want to thank the young ones who have been showing up. Keep showing up. Thank you, brother. Oh, I forgot about these.
So we have a workshop coming up for Jerry Buckner. We have my workshop coming up. I'm going to see my workshop, do my cards, and we're going to have our next speaker. I don't know the schedule. Is it Anouk? Are you coming up, Anouk? Oh my goodness. So we're going to come back our next hour sharp with Anouk. We'll bring her in. You'll love Anouk. She's beautiful, wonderful voice, and wonderful management. We'll look forward to being there in just a few minutes. So do a couple-minute break. We'll be back very quickly.
We'll take a walk. Yes, thank you. Can't help but feel that you and I met sometime. When the last thing I said was about beliefs. When were you in beliefs?
Most in the 90s. From 92 to 98.
I was in the I was just trying. I don't really have a very similar age. I was born in 72. 72. 54. Because I do remember those years. I was not quite old enough to decide to do something. So I graduated in 72 from high school. So in 68, I was. But you felt very cool. I just can't help but feel this somewhere. Can I come on my wife and I met a lot of things in other places. Somewhere we saw you and met you.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, honey, I'm gonna get fresh with you.
Ooh, you devil, you.
I know.
I'm gonna come and see you when I know. Yeah, those of us coming together now, nobody got together.
Well, I actually more than Italy. We just went there in 2011.
Ah, okay.
And went all around Italy. And we met some gypsies.
Some of them are still living there. If they were shepherds, then they probably were.
Well, we went all the way up to Lake Como.
Sure. Yeah.
And we went to Venice. And we went to
That's where my other side of
Chiquitaire and fighting about the floods. So we just, bombarded ourselves with just northern Italy for 2 weeks. I love the people, love the areas.
The energy there. I learned a lot. Often people talk to me all the time. Then I'm working. Oh, no, it's fine. It's okay. It's my fault. I'm no good at language. But yeah, I learned.
Well, thank you for this.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you for listening.
We live in this area. I've never experienced so we started out spirituality. Black Lives Matter, and now we're volunteers. This particular poet has done so much. See, I didn't even think when my dad was Catholic in the state Catholic all his life, but I was Protestant. I was back in '54. I got bad, did not sign into I see most of the major religions.
Another way of seeing the same thing. Sorry, what's the
In each culture has a different name for something. But we'll argue over names.
Ooh, are they yours? They are. I love mine. I'm just in for first one.
Oh, okay.
Where are you?
We're here in Colorado.
Okay. I see a spring in my mind's eye. I see a spring southwest and starts in my mind, starts in Glacier Park. It goes to Yellowstone, and then it goes down through Estes Park and to Mesa Verde. Then Miami Valley, then the Grand Canyon, and then the Hills.
Yeah. I'm almost my age. I just took me a read on my teacher's skills. I may not even
Even in St. Louis area, I've been here 14 years, 15 years now. I work side by side with Hispanics. We share things.
That's why. I want to make sure If anybody is scheduled to take your Duncan's workshop, it is actually starting at 2 p.m. in the Lady Washington room. And then Grand Entry Hicks workshop is in the Meeker room, and that is starting now, just to let everybody know, or at 2 o'clock.
Oh, so the camera. Are you guys moving the camera?
That's okay. That's okay. We go this way. We go this way. We can follow you. Oh, that's a little close. It was like tattoo on me. No, just tap. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. Did you get some coffee?
Did, it's just one. Just like, all righty. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Hope everybody had a wonderful lunch break and is digesting properly. So we have Anouk Sophia. She is our next speaker, and her workshop today is from 4 to 5. And the workshop is on alchemical marriage and 0-point codex, restoration of relationship, origin, Christ Sophia, the birthing of the new divine human for this generation and beyond and beyond. This will be a dynamic group exploration. Anouk Sophia is a priestess, writer, sound practitioner who has lived in the UK and southern France in the last few years, studying sound and researching the bloodlines of the Grail through legend and the royal houses of Europe and beyond in search of the resurgence of the divine feminine. As everybody sits down, I ask you all to please give a very warm welcome to Anouk Sophia.
I think I have this on, right? Ah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, good to be here. Thank you for coming back in. Thank you, Chip Tigo, for this opportunity to share this amazing piece of information. So I'm here really to tell you about the law of equality. We all know about the Chanupa, the sacred pipe. And I went far, far away to Scotland to pick up a little piece of information that brings us back to being one, to being connected, masculine, feminine, back into equality, back into being the tree of life. So I'll bring you back in time. So I'll go into beyond Druid time, beyond the Celtic ways, to the ancient people who were called the Danan. I don't know if you have heard about them, but the very, very ancient ones, and they were from ancient Scotland, before it was called Scotland, ancient Ireland, because the lands were all connected, ancient Wales, England. So they were people of the north. They were the people of the goddess. Their name means the people of the goddess Danu. And Danu was the very ancient goddess, a very ancient goddess that doesn't even have an ancient temple that we could all look at.
She is the goddess giving of life, the water, the air, the earth, the fire. She is the goddess who would have given life back to the ones that were dying, and the Tuaha were the priest, warrior, shining ones. They were known as the shining ones in mythology. So I'm telling you a story. This is mythology. This is one way of telling a story of the goddess. So the goddess Danu was this all-giving life emanations that came from a very, 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 very long time ago, and not a lot is written about her. And she's probably been translated into all of the other powerful goddesses that we know today, like all of the goddesses that we know, but she was one of the ancient ones. So one of the Tuaha, the Danan, is the goddess Bridget, and maybe some of us here know her. She is the goddess of Ireland, and she is known as being the goddess of fire and the goddess of water. She's also a midwife goddess, and she is recognized, especially in Ireland, by a cross, which is a very unusual cross. Is a cross which has 4 arms or 4 legs, and the center of it, actually the cross itself is built of reef, because in ancient times they would have had pieces of very old or very dry reef as flooring. And story goes that this is how they used to use. They used to take it from the ground and create it by hand. And they would weave this. So it was part of the weaving traditions. And so this cross that becomes the cross of Bridget has 4 legs. And if we look at that, I have maybe some images coming in later. It looks very much like the Antakarana. So again, it's another way of looking at the same thing, something that some of us may know as also the, what's it called, the swastika. So very similar to that. Okay, so we're going into ancient Scotland before it was even called Scotland. Today Scotland is called Scotland apparently because there was a goddess, an Egyptian goddess called Queen Scotta, and she ended up in Scotland, and so she brings the ancient ways also from Sumeria and ancient Egypt. So we're going to try and tie all of that together. So the Tuaha are the warrior priests, very powerful. They look very masculine if we look at them in mythology and books, and even you can't find a lot about them. They were male and female, but they weren't necessarily separate. Like they didn't, separate so much the genders. And they they left for us 4 symbols. And the symbols are the stone, the spear, the sword, and the chalice. Thank you. The cauldron. So the cauldron or the chalice. Let me think if there's anything else I should have told you beforehand. This is so exciting to be sharing this work with you. Okay, so today, if you go to Edinburgh and you go to the ancient castle, there is like a museum and you can see the stone called the Stone of Destiny. And they say it is the same stone that once was brought by the Tuaha as one of the symbols, or one of the gifts, or one of the treasures. But the beauty or the amazing story behind this stone is that it was used for coronations of kings. And this is the part that really excited me when I started looking at the stone being a place where the kings would sit to embodying, or to allow themselves to be embodied as the high king. And the reason why I ended up looking at this in the first place is because I'm taking a group to Scotland. And I was asked to do the ceremony of the High King. So the stone of destiny, obviously the word destiny means something. What does it mean to you? You can sit with that possibility. So this is the stone where all throughout history, as long as the 1300s, the kings of Scotland were actually sat on to be crowned, to be worshipped as king. And before that, we don't know, but in history it goes up to the 1300. And then one of the kings, King Edward I of England, took the stone back to England. And it is said that even the queen today, the queen that reigns today in England, she was also crowned sitting on the stone, because they created a throne with a piece missing so that they could actually place the stone inside. There's many stories about the stone, but the main story about this is that it had memory. So it's one of the stone beings that had obviously memory, had crystal within it. And when the man that was going to embody to become the High King, he would sit on the stone and the stone would scream or speak or sing. And so everybody would know that that stone was the people, that he was the rightful king. And the reason why that happened is because the king would ritually marry the goddess of the earth. He would ritually marry the goddess of the land as he became king, and he would vow and tell everybody that he would be in service to the people and to the goddess. So he would walk as one, as in the ritual in marriage, where he would do everything with connecting with the goddess, and the goddess in return would bring all of the gifts, all of the abundance of the crops and all of the foods that were necessary for the people. But also it would empower the king with special gifts as intuition or foresight, where he could go to war and know that he would be secure while he went to war, and he would return in victory. So that was the connection that the High King would have had with the goddess of the land. And it is said that if he didn't do what he said he would do, which was to reign in accordance with being at one with the goddess, there was a ritual to have him removed, and that was death. So it was serious. It was a serious coronation to be a high king. So the stone of destiny is called also the stone of Phalias. And story goes that still today there is a stone that stands in Ireland. Now we're going across the waters to Ireland. And if you get there on the hill of Tara, which means the place of the coronation, the place of the king, there is a stone that stands there, and they say that's still the original one. So the Scottish people say, is there a stone? And the Irish people say, is there a stone? But we're in mythology here, so you can just, take a pick, whichever one felt right. But there is definitely a story behind that, which is connecting to the earth, connecting to the mother, connecting to the goddess, becoming one. And when we, as men or women, took that responsibility to serve, we would always do that in synchronicity with the goddess of the earth, with integrity. It is also connected with the Christian story of the pillow of Jacob. So some of us may know the story that he lies his head on a stone and he has a dream of stairways, and the stairway has many angels that go up and down. And that was his connection to the sky. That is also representation of the DNA. So it brings us back to the stone had a memory, and we have stones within ourselves. We have, Chief Golden Light Eagle says we have 33 crystals in our body. So it is possible that the resonance of the crystals within our body would resonate with the crystals in the stone that could speak, that could know that we carry that DNA, that would be in service, that would continue the, that purification with the earth until a time that we would be in this timeline. So the next symbol was the spear, and the spear is connected to the god Lug, and he is also recognized as the god of harvest. So in the Druid way, there is also a god for the harvest. And the spear, if you imagine, they were warrior priests and warrior gods and warrior kings. So they would have had a spear. But don't look at the spear as something that they would have gone to war with, but that was almost like a shining thing that they would pointed the way, so it would have shown them the direction to go. So with the stone, we have the possibility that, you know, we're talking about the earth, we're talking about the element of earth, but we're also talking about our base chakras, or our ability to be grounded. And in the spear, we're talking about our ability to see through, to spearhead through something, so have that ability to see the light beyond what we don't see, so like cutting through and crashing through what is in our way. And it was known as whoever the king that held that, because it was passed down through generations, whoever held that was invincible. So he would have been impossible to overcome. And that brings us to the spear also having been made of yew tree. The yew tree is, in the Druid tradition, is the one that holds the space between the ancestors and us, and a lot of the cemeteries in England and Scotland, we have the ancient yews that will hold space for the ancient ones, so that it's holding space between the veils. So interesting that it is said that the part that wasn't the spear part was made of yew. So again, opening up or holding the space between the veils of our ancestors, and what that represented in the way of our bloodline, and in the way of who we are and what we came here to do, because we each come here with a line, or with a legacy. We sit in a legacy of our traditions and our ancestors that came and walked this walk before us. So it being something that brought invincibility, or it was impossible to overcome, and it was made of yew, it was made of a tree. And in the tarot, for the ones that know about tarot, the wand is also something that is shooting. So it would be like a tree. And then there is the connection of this, the staff as well. So in the staff of Moses, when he hits the earth and the parting of the seas, and there is that exodus, and that timing where life changed from being what it was to what it was going to be. So this symbol represented opening up the way to something completely new. So having that power to overcome whatever you were in and to what you were going. And because it was a shining, they say it was a shining light, it would have also shined away. So you would have had light ahead of you. And I connect this with our pineal gland, or our, I forgot the name of this chakra now. The third eye, thank you. So that you could see through and know that you had enough light to get to the other side and pierce the veil and get there with the help with the ancestors. So like the male anatomy, and having that part as in men and women, and the lingam, it would have been something similar in the sense that it would also be the place, the beginning of conception, so the beginning of something new. So that connected also to the Kundalini. So from here to here. And also because it's connected to the harvest, it's connected to the Feast of Harvest, which is the 1st of August. So we just had Lunasag as the Feast of Harvest in the Celtic traditions. Okay, and here we are in the fire. So the spear became the fire. And I'm explaining to you all of them separate, but they're completely not separate. They all fall inside each other. So I'm going to try and speed this up now. Okay, then we have the sword. And some of us were here when somebody was being knighted with a sword. And it was this beautiful ceremony of having a man get on his knees and a woman having the sword. And we have that image of Lady of the Lake or Guinevere and Lancelot being knighted. So the sword of Nuada he was the king of the Tuatha De Danann who carried the sword, and that was one of his treasures, and that was passed down as he moved on. That meant so it meant communication. It meant the tongue. So in the Mayan way, the tongue is like the sharp that brings the truth or not, but is the one that would crack through the illusion. So that's also connected to the mirror, so the mirror of truth. And so I'm not going to go through the Arthurian way yet, because there is more to tell you about this. It brings the knighthood. So it's connected to the king, but it brings the knighthood. And what's the difference between a king and a knight? When we know that the king is the sovereign that will die for his land, but the knight is the one who will take war and die for his king or for his queen. So what did that mean by having a sword and being knighted and having to be the one who goes forward with the sword and possibly, is the one who goes to war and whatever war entails? So I looked at that, and what I got was that this sword was connected to the heart and was connected to purity. If you know the story in the Arthurian legend, Lancelot isn't able to get to the Grail, but his son gets to it. Sir Galahad is the one who actually gets to see the Grail in mythology. And it is said that he was the only one who got to behold the Grail or the chalice because he was pure of heart. So that's when I felt that was the strongest connection, to have had that as a gift that would only be given to the one of pure of heart, that wouldn't have used it for war, but would have used it to pierce the veil and to pierce the illusion. And yes, be the one who would, if necessary, be the one who would protect the king, but it was more about the purity of heart. And it was also about the higher mind or the highest ego, because metal being the sword, it's to do with air. So it was about choosing from a higher will, so from a divine will, more than I have the sword and I will go and do what people do with swords. And then we have the cauldron. And the cauldron is the place of alchemy. And this is when we get to this alchemical marriage. Because yes, we have feminine and masculine. If we want to, we can see that the stone would be the earth, so it would be feminine, and the spear would be fire, and that's masculine, and the sword is also masculine because it's air, and the cauldron is the water, so it's feminine. But they were telling me, and I was really asking for help to understand, and they were telling me that it's not separate and it's not about the division. It has always been about coming together and understanding that it was just a tool, it was a gift to see the whole story back into where we are today. So the cauldron being the chalice, or being the womb of creation, being the place where new life is created. But before I get to that, I have to tell you that the cauldron is called the cauldron of Dagda. And Dagda was a powerful god, and he was also a powerful king, and he was the good king. He was known as the good king. And as the good king, he had this cauldron as one of his gifts, and all the men that went to war, and all the warriors that were hurt and injured or even dead, would be placed in this cauldron, would be literally bathed in this cauldron, and they would come back to life. So it comes back to the womb, to how we are always seeking that connection. We're always seeking that sacred sexuality, even if we think we don't know what this is. But even if we're not thinking about sacred sex, we're thinking about coming back to life, healing, washing, cleansing, purifying. So Dagda, as this powerful king, also had this cauldron representation of overflowing. It was always giving life. There was always abundance. There was always more food and more water for anybody. So again, representing the flowing of the feminine, the flowing of the goddess, the flowing of the waters today, and how so many of us are now so connecting to the remembrance that water is sacred, and how important it is for us to declare that we are powerful. We're in this time for a reason, and this time is now. Is being powerful as we are, we can make a change. So we can have this power of the cauldron where we can transmute and purify and continue to allow to say to the waters that yes, this is life, and it will continue to be flowing as life and not as anything else but healing waters. And also the cauldron was, because it was water, it was also a way of looking into our own reflection and seeing our own truth. So that was the time of coming within and seeing who we were, and could we get to that, into that cauldron, which meant water, but also meant fire, and therefore meant the alchemical transformation into the ethers and creating the new through that. So weaving all of this, you know, the stone, the knowledge, the memory, the confirmation and the regeneration of the aspect of the king that was in service, was that one was married to the goddess, and the light that was shone forth with the spear, and the sword that was about the purity of heart, and a commitment to be that grail knight that would always be in service, but from a higher will. And then dipping into the cauldron of transmutation, purification, eternal life, back into the goddess, back to now, back to what we're doing, and who are we becoming, and what does this mean as the new generations coming and the children coming through, you know, the wombs that are opening for the new ones coming through right now, and how important it is for us to look at mythology, but then see, yes, wasn't always that great. We didn't always choose from the higher heart. We haven't always been in service to the earth or to the goddess or to the divine in us. And so that was a way of looking at that. So do we have any questions? I have so much to say. I could go deeper into the Arthurian legends. I can go deeper into the Grail and take you into the caves of France and the Magdalens and what that represented as the chalice. Okay, so before I say that, I just want to share with you that where we're going, and the reason why this all came up was there is an island in Scotland called Iona, and this is the 0 point, and this is why I'm calling my workshop the 0 point codex, because it was the place on earth where I felt that there was no desire, that everything was there and everything was done. Nothing was needed, nothing was required. It was just a place of And just next to the island, there is an island which is called Staffa. And it's a very unusual place because from the earth, these columns come up and they're black basalt. And they're all sacred geometry hexagons. I don't know if you've seen this before. So it is known that the Tuatha, or also known as the giant ones, would have landed there. This is, again, mythology, but the interesting part is that the land itself is made of sacred geometry hexagons, and it continues from Scotland to Ireland. Now the lands have separated, but at one time that was all one. And so it is said that the giants walked from the north and they went across on these columns of sacred geometry, which I thought was very interesting because it was talking about the masculine as the masculine and the feminine as the Merkaba, but within all of us is masculine and feminine, we know that, and within every man there is the sacred geometry of the feminine, every woman is the sacred geometry of the masculine, and within that is the replica of that, so it continues over and over, so micro to macrocosmos. And so I was asked to bring a group there to do ceremony. And then there is another island, so we're island hopping here. There's an island called the island of Mull, M-U-L-L. And there are very, very, very many standing stones. And these standing stones are also connected to the Tuatha, the Danann, and they're all aligning with specific times and specific passings of the sun and specific ceremonies that created around those timings, like the solstices and the equinoxes. So we're looking at the ancient ones, we're coming forward into the stones and all the remembrance. I'm flitting a bit, but I just want you to know that whenever you find a standing stone that's been there a very long time, it will always be aligned to the sun, will always be aligned to the axle of the earth at the time, and will always be aligned to the rising sun at that one particular point, whatever that time of year it was represented, if it was the winter solstice or if it was the equinox or whatever it was there because it was like a tool of grounding the sacred electromagnetic of the earth and then bringing it up and connecting it to the sky and connecting beyond this this timeline, yes, but also the beyond the stars. So also remember that the stone people are the people that will do this harnessing of with us, for us, and we're also stone because we're made of bones, and so remember that. Okay, so we want to go from here. How long do I have? How long have I got? Okay, great. Okay. So we go back to Arthur, King Arthur. You have a question? Seat of Arthur in Cornwall, Tintagel. Yes, I've been to Edinburgh. Is that in the castle? Oh yes, 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 yes. With the formation on the land. Uh-huh. Who it belonged to? I don't know, so I don't have the answer. But I know that very, very recent, like in the last year, they have excavated a whole new section in Tintagel in Cornwall, and they're feeling that that really was a castle, that would have been the castle of King Arthur, although a lot of people say that he was buried in the abbey in Glastonbury. But so yeah, so I don't know that part. Just because we might run out of time, I want to tell you about the tree of life, just in case we run out of time, because I get excited with the Grail legends. So the tree of life, and going back to the Chanupa, what I was seeing is that once everything goes together through the cauldron, we are the new, but we've always been that new, we've always been that life. And so the tree of life has always run abundant, has always run with that purity, and always run with that intention of serving life and serving love, serving the continuation to the next generation and beyond and beyond. So remember that we are that Chanupa, we are that sacred pipe, we are that masculine, feminine, that once it's put together, and it is, some of you know, the Chanupa is smoked with sacred prayers. It is smoked with the tobacco, and it's intentionally given as a prayer, but is a connection, earth, wood and fire and the smoke. So that transmutation. So the body, our body is that. So remember that you are that sacred Chanupa, you are that sacred tree of life. You have all of that within yourself, and therefore you have all of those treasures within yourself. You have all of that abundance and all of that vision and all of that truth that you can open up through the veils. I forget something. Oh yes, and the stone. You are the stone. You are the bones. You're the bones of the earth. Your bones, whenever you had your time on this body, it will go back to the earth, and the bones will become the stone people, and until a time that you come back or not, but your descendants will know that you were here, and the stones and the ground will remind them of what the memory that you left, or the legacy even that we have left. So again, as we're looking at, this is perhaps just a tale, but this could be our ancestors that came and left us a legacy, left us a tale, left us a story. And what are we leaving? What is our legacy? What treasures are we going to leave here for the new ones coming in, or for our children, grandchildren that already are on the planet? So it's interesting when we look at the Arthurian legend, we're looking at the sword, and we're looking at Lady of the Lake in the tale, or the myth, and Lady of the Lake is the one who holds the sword in the water until a time that the rightful pure of heart knight or king can embody that power, and then the power is given back. So it goes from Arthur and the stories in Camelot, and there is a trinity there, which is interesting, but we won't have time to look at. But it's a very interesting trinity if you have time to research, of Lancelot, King Arthur, and Guinevere, and how, even in today's standards, we would think that would be a no-no and a mistake, but the stories have been a little bit translated and transmuted, or diluted even, but we can always look through mythology that there is another higher expression of that, and the Trinity, three people coming together as a triangle, supporting each other. So in a relationship that is equal, it's a beautiful thing. So ask me later if you want to know more about that triangulation of relationship. So where am I? So later the lake, the water again is the cauldron, the water again is the feminine, the sword is the masculine. We take all of that Grail legend as now becoming the Grail, and we've got Yeshua, or Christ and Sophia, Yeshua Magdalene. We have said so much about this, but let's just feel it. Let's just take a moment to just go within and feel that truth. Feel, what does that mean in your body? What What does the memory within your body tell you about that connection of Yeshua and Magdalene, the chalice, the blood, the sacred blood that so many have been persecuted because of the bloodline, so many wars because of that sacredness of the blood, that sacredness of the DNA of who we are and what we carry, and our sacred responsibility today. So the Magdalene was another beautiful representation of who we are. Men and women, we were all Magdalenes. She wasn't just one, there were many Magdalenes. And they each were here for healing. They remembered all the ways of healing with herbs and oils and spices and song. So remember that we are all that grail, that chalice, that bloodline. We all carry that essence of who they are. If you have a chance to go to Scotland, there is this place, it's a chapel, and it's quite famous now because of the, what's the book? The Code? The Da Vinci Code. So there is a chapel called the Roslin Chapel in the town of Roslin. It's only a village. And whenever you go there, again, there's not a lot of time to tell you, but inside that place, there is an area where there are cymatic symbols. There is a cross on the ladies' chapel, which is an alcove at the end of it. It's only a little chapel, but it's all carved in stone. Again, the stone people are holding the memory. And one of the pillars, because they're all very different, one of the pillars inside that church is a spiral, and it's all very intricate. And that pillar is the flower of life, that pillar is the tree of life, and that pillar connects us back to Egypt, connects us back to the flower of life. That was found in Abydos, which is it's an imprint in a stone in the temple of Osiris. And all historians and all scientists cannot tell how that was made. It is not painted, it's not carved. They feel it was imprinted with sound. So sound is important. Remember that our minds sometimes play games. So if you get a little bit confused with history or mythology, just go back to sound, go back to using your own voice, go back to anchoring that knowing within yourself. So if you ever go to Roslin, look at the cymatic symbols, which are music in stone. There are sounds, the notes carved in stone, and they represent the divine marriage. So ask me if you have any questions. 5 more minutes? Yes. Ha, okay. So the Tuatha De Danann, the ones who gave us the symbols, they are known to be the giants. And then in this one island, which is just an island, nobody lives on this island, the island of Staffa, where the columns come out, the black basalt columns come out. They're all sacred geometry hexagons. In there is a cave called Fingo's Cave, and Fingo is the giant. And Mendelssohn wrote music, and I can't remember all the other people that did amazing pieces of art. So that place is a very ancient way of remembering that we are creators. There is a lot of music and books and art. Oh, I think even Jules Verne wrote about that place. So it is connected through mythology, because it's really that ancient. But in mythology, it is said that that was where the giants landed. And then the causeway of those columns, the hexagon columns, continue to Ireland. That's a good question. They're also known as the shining ones. And it's a good question. I haven't got to where exactly they come from. As I said before, I feel the connection to Lyra. but I'm not sure if that makes sense to you. We will have a piece of the puzzle, so maybe you have more information to bring to the circle. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah. Oh yes, I have a crystal ball here. Do you want to? So take a moment just going within. Oh, it's nice not to hear my own voice. Oh, here I am. Here I am. Yeah, take just a moment, just connect into the goddess Anouk, connect to the giants, connect to the shining ones, connect to the earth, connect to the bones, connect to your own blood, connect to the flowing of the abundant chalice, the ever-giving life space, connect to the sacred waters of the lands.
Thank you so much. Her workshop, as I mentioned at the beginning of this speaking event, is at 4 p.m. Meet your room. Meet room. This room is next door. On the right, do we need to put chairs back? If you don't mind, if you were rushing off, if you're not going to another workshop, if you could help us set the chairs back up. Our next speaker is Rosemary the Celtic lady. And as soon as we set up the chairs, I'll tell you guys what she's all about, okay? Thanks so much.
How do you want the chair?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Now let's put the little top on.
Yeah, put that one over there. Yeah.
There's the aisle.
Yeah, that's what I was happy to know. Oh my God, this is true.